Okay, this is tying off a project. So I'm on the back side of the work and have just a little bit of thread left. I'm almost don't have enough. Sometimes to hold your thread in your needle, you can spin your needle a little bit, which will just like double it up. But I usually just try to pinch it while I'm working, and I just put my needle back through just the back side. I'm not going all the way through the project, just catching a little bit of the batting and a little bit of the back and pushing it through, and then being really careful not to pull too tight because I want to go back through this loop. So I'm just going to take and reverse the needle and push that loop on and then pull it through. And this might, actually, I do have enough that I could pull my needle tight and put the knot in. So there's a knot. It is secure. And then I'm just going to put the needle back into the fabric and go just a little bit farther out, pull that through. I don't mind if my needle comes off at this point. I'm going to pull it tight. Now watch how I'm going to clip it. So the knot is here. There's a little bit of thread there. I'm going to push down my project with my scissors, cut the thread off, and then pull it back out so that, of course, it doesn't work perfectly, but that thread end goes and just lives in between the sheets of fabric. So you're kind of just giving yourself a place so that tie doesn't want to work itself back out. So that's tying off. For starting a project, you can just tie a knot. Actually, I have a knot on here already. I'm just going to add another knot on top and make a loop. I'm going to think of like a ribbon loop. I tuck that tail in and then I pull it tight, and I just pull it so that the knot sits on top of the other knot. Now this is a big blob of thread. It doesn't probably need to be that many knots to go through, but to bury that, this is a 2-layer little packet. I'm just going to go underneath and in between the 2 layers to bury the knot. And because I'm just starting out a project, it's easy enough to just have that knot exist there. You can feel it from the back, but it's not something I'm super worried about. So that's putting in a knot at the beginning. Let's see. So I am gonna not go through all the layers. I don't want to go onto the front with this stitch, but I'm just gonna go through a little bit of fabric and pull my thread all the way through except for leaving a tail. This tail can be cut off later. I just leave enough so I don't accidentally pull it through when I'm pulling it tight. Now I'm going to do that exact same stitch right next door to it, holding the tail, putting my thumb and holding hand on the tail. Now here's the hole for the knot. So I'm going to pull that tight. So I just looped my end through. Now I'm going to make that knot. If that doesn't feel secure enough to you to cut off this tail, you could always do an overhanded knot too, like that. And just tie it. So now you know there's 2 knots on there. I'm sorry, you couldn't really see that one, but you're just tying an overhanded knot, like looping it around. It's not as easy to work without the needle, but it's doable if you leave your tail long enough. So now you have an overhanded knot. I'm going to trim that tail all the way back. And this is just a quick way to get started. Very secure way to get started. And usually I would just put my needle then right next to it, come up to the upper side. Why I like the buried knot versus this knot to start. This knot you can see, obviously. And the buried knot you can't see. So that's another way to start out your piece. Good luck with knot tying. Don't forget to trim your ends. And as you get better, it gets neater.